Okay. 7 o'clock, so we're gonna begin our October 7th select board meeting. And I'd like to start with the warrants. I'd like to make a motion that we approve payroll number 27 for $4,217.44. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Right.
I'd like to move that we accept accounts payable number 28 for $76,076.44. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to move that we accept payroll number 29 for $1,966.02. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And lastly, on the warrants, I'd like to move that we accept accounts payable number 30 for $16,341.91. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes of September 23rd, 2024 select board meeting. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's sign that then. I'm sure it's so.
Should we do this in the, no? What is this meeting or no?
Well, we would do it down here.
Yes.
Yep. So, but this one we could do here.
Yeah. Okay.
I think probably, oops, I think it would.
You guys talking about the assessments?
Yeah.
Decisions? I think that would be a select board decision. That's a hiring
Yeah.
contract kind of thing.
That's what I
As
was
opposed to like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, the next on our agenda is, the assessor's agent. We had 2 bids last week. One for 15,000, one for 12,000. And we met last week to talk about, the 2 candidates, and actually we had already met one of the candidates, and the second one we wanted to interview, which we did last week. And so, we have decided, well, we haven't decided because we talked about it, but haven't made a decision yet. So, thoughts, since you're the chair of the Board of Assessors.
Yeah, do you want to, make a motion and then we'll have discussion?
Okay.
How's that? Like, we don't know who we're gonna accept, but
Well, why don't you make a motion?
we haven't
I'm
decided.
trying to find
Okay,
where,
I don't know how to make that motion, because we're not deciding everybody.
You can, okay, yeah, we can discuss them first
Yeah.
and then make a.
Well, basically, I did reference checking. I made some phone calls and nothing anybody said was any surprise to what we gleaned from these 2 gentlemen, having met them and sat and spoke with them for extended period of time. They both were highly recommended, good experience. Nobody had anything more to say about either of them, which I'm not surprised. They're both very qualified but in different ways, I think. And obviously it comes down to what's the best match for us as a town.
what I liked about the gentleman that we talked to Monday was that he actually has been involved in the CAI work and doing some piloting work. And Ashley was at our meeting because she's going to be working closer with the assessor, and she was thrilled because he's got the capability of doing a lot of things electronically, which will ultimately save us money. If you're not having to walk and then manually input everything into a database, if it automatically goes right into the database instead of having to do that, would save a lot of money. And both of them actually were very interested in doing the reval as well, since that's an issue that we've had. So both candidates were, as you said, highly
Yeah,
qualified.
highly qualified, yeah. I'm just gonna ask, Kim, you weren't on
My
that
opinion is
meeting
if the
that,
$12,000 bid guy is suitable, has the equipment, has the knowledge, there isn't any real reason to not use it.
right,
So I would say let's go with Josh.
Okay, so are you making a motion?
I'll make a motion that we choose Josh
Barry,
Berry for the assessor's agent position. It's opening up in December.
Yeah, and it'll go from January first through, end of June. It's a 6-month period. I'll second that. So, all those in favor for, Josh Berry? Aye. And
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Excuse me, are you really going to citizen interest?
It is next after open any bids that we have. Yeah, and you should have an agenda there.
Well, it did change from where I remember.
Okay, did we get any, bids?
We got sand bids. We did not get any town hall bids.
Okay. So why don't we postpone that and go ahead to citizens issues, just to be,
So you just want to open the winter sand stuff or move it down?
move it down one.
Okay.
All right, we'll actually move up to citizens issue, since it sounds like you have a citizens issue.
Yeah, I do, I've been dealing with Jim for the last few years. To fix some of the damage that one was done to my driveway. Twice, this is a picture of the damage. Last spring before the new.
We want Jim in here before, Jim was just gonna come get you.
Yeah, no.
Yep,
So, that was before the new culvert was put in.
okay.
So, Jim had Shaw come down and kind of gather up what had fallen off the driveway and fix it. The
Mhm,
driveway still does this though,
mhm.
and Jim and I had talked about it, and he said he was gonna have Jack Shaw come in with 3/4 inch gravel and replace it. I had talked with Jack and he said, well, all I have right now is 1.5 inches. You want that? And I said, Jim spec 3/4, and I didn't want to change what Jim had done. Also, this, Jim came, do you remember when you replaced the culvert?
Sometime last fall.
Okay, we had talked about that. The old culvert had caused this problem. The new culvert is moving quite a bit more water through there. And there's a ledge close to the road and then it drops off. And this is kind of a poor picture, but you can see along here that the water is eroded probably 3 feet, a length of 3 feet down the side of the property before it goes into my neighbor's culvert.
Is this a ditch along? St.
Yeah.
Lawrence? In front, yeah, where, it is. Yep,
That's when I said about putting the rock in there.
It's out there.
Yep.
Yeah, so, and Jim said he thought he would get to it in September when we talked again in July. And Jim feels like he's not gonna be able to get there this year. I'm kind of reluctant to go through the winter with that much water running through there. My proposal would be is that I'll look for somebody to do the work if the town will reimburse me for paying them to do it. I mean, you don't have to decide now, you can maybe let us know by an email or something like that.
yeah, we would definitely need to talk about it. So basically, you're asking, to
Well,
have
by,
somebody,
by law, and Jack and Jim will verify this, is that the town's responsible for the water that the culvert does onto my property. And so right now it's damaging it substantially. Jim feels like a 4 to 6 inch rock laid in the bed of the ditch would alleviate a lot of the erosion. And that's really what I'm looking for.
so one of my questions for you is, right now, is it usable? Can you get up and down your driveway?
Yeah,
Okay, and Jim, I'd like your thoughts on it.
Everything says, spot on. I told him when we went down there and did the rest of the work on Bay Shore Road, we would address that. Unfortunately, the way the projects have gone, we haven't made it down there, and we probably won't make it down there before winter. The problem with going down there and doing just that is the cost.
Mhm, mhm.
There's a significant cost to going down there and doing just that, rather than while we're down there doing work. the other road work that needs to be done.
And you're gonna do in the spring anyway. Yeah, you had a comment? Yeah,
I, I understand fully the erosion issue. And this new culvert probably does, it runs the same amount of water, it's just the velocity of water. Because they're smooth bottom. So this riprap would definitely slow the velocity of the water down and stop that erosion. If you get out there, you can visually see that it has, over the last 50 or 75 years, created quite a path through there. And I feel it probably should be addressed.
Wait,
but
this gully isn't because of the new culvert?
No, that was there prior to the new culvert.
Oh,
No, wait, there's a misunderstanding, there was a culvert there. And one of the reasons the driveway overflowed, the culvert overflowed, was the culvert was galvanized and had been in there for 20 years. Interestingly enough, after the first time the driveway got wiped out, George took Gary down there and said, there's no problem, we just have to fix the culvert. Well, Jim has already addressed the issue from fixing the ditches. From up the hill that run down there, so the velocity or the amount of water now, because the ditching has been done, it's substantially increased, because that's an end culvert. So the ditch that led from the culvert down to the bay was approximately maybe 18 inches a foot. Now, in the last year or so, it's increased
width you're talking, or width or depth?
depth.
Depth,
Well, actually, what happens is as the volume of water increases, it takes the sides with it.
right, so I guess what I'm asking is what has increased in the size of it, so that.
It appears to me that the depth has and the width some.
Okay,
I would like to actually take a look at it,
Yep.
so I would like to not make any decision today. And
Well, I guess all I'm asking for is, to finish the work on it. Jim had said that it needed riprap, and he thought he'd be able to get down to Bay Shore in September, and he has it, and we just talked, and he said it's not gonna happen till next year.
and I will speak to this man's work and the way he does things. He's very careful with the money, and we did have some things that came up that were unexpected that had to be addressed, and we haven't even hit winter yet in terms of what we may have to spend
I
for road
appreciate
work,
that,
so
but I wanna,
not saying he's not gonna do it, it's just not right now.
so Jim, did you do something to try to fix it at least temporarily?
Well, I mean.
You said Jack Shaw put some,
He did, make it so it's passable. When he was down there fixing the road,
wait.
You talking about the driveway? Yeah, no. Got that ditch that's being created by the force of the water that's now coming through. That's what I'm talking about.
nothing's been done to that,
Right,
that's what you're planning to do in the spring.
right?
Yeah.
That and the driveway while we're down there, 'cause
Okay.
as I said, about moving down there and doing it, both being down there and doing it,
Right,
you're talking two different price.
okay, and my question was something done to try to at least fix it temporarily?
Yeah.
Yes,
The driveway.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That's not really.
yeah,
So Jeff, do you have an estimate from somebody for the work that you
No, I
seems to reimburse?
well, when the first time the driveway got wiped out, I tried to get a hold of George and I couldn't. So I went ahead and bought, 3/4 inch gravel from Wood. And Gary Cromwell was nice enough to come down and make the driveway passable. I brought the bill to George, after the work had been done, and he said, well, we're not gonna pay for this. So I thought I would try and be preemptive and come here, not get into a confrontational. So,
we appreciate that.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it would behoove us to look at it, actually physically look at it.
you have to walk in probably 10 or 15 feet from the road, because that's ledge, and then it just drops off. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, we'll definitely take a look at it the next week and get back with you. All right, while we're on citizens issues, this was John, who, we were talking about earlier. They were both here, John, at 6 o'clock, because we have our workshop, which, is open to anybody. And so, they wanted to talk to us at that point in time, but what they were talking about, I thought was important that maybe you hear, thanks, Jeff, that in your role as, board chair, that I'm not, because I'm not sure exactly where they might go to have further conversation to start some, maybe start writing some ordinances or something. So, this is, Camden and Bailey. And you want to give just a brief, and your,
Protect Maine's fishing heritage.
yeah, we couldn't remember the title. Yeah,
Foundation.
okay,
We're still not protecting it. It's
Protect.
okay, yeah, you both got the hats on, it's like I can't wait. Charlotte might want, yeah, Charlotte might want to know, protect Maine
Maine's fishing heritage foundation.
Foundation. Fishing.
And can I get, sorry, you're Camden? You're Camden, what's your last name?
Rice, REISS.
REISS and Bailey.
Bowdy, BOWDEN.
And where are you guys from?
I'm from Westport. I mean, I live half time in Brunswick, but I'm
Yep.
staying in Westport right now.
Okay,
He was
got it.
closer to this point than anybody here.
Yeah.
Yeah, down to the left,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, I'll put Camden back up in the citizen section.
So, just for Charlotte's sake and for John's sake, do you want to give just a brief update on what you do?
Yeah, so basically, we're a nonprofit and we're working to fight against industrial scale aquaculture, just help small coastal towns come up with their own regulation around aquaculture. Because right now, like DMR and the state of Maine says they basically own all of that, and they come up and they're the final arbiter of truth with any sort of aquaculture lease. And so we're seeing a huge increase in aquaculture, because, you know, people can make a decent chunk of change at it. We don't believe that the ocean should be sold off to big corporations or companies, but unfortunately, the legislation and, you know, regulation that we have right now enables anyone to do that. Unfortunately, anyone from anywhere in the world can come and buy up to 1,000 acres of Maine's coast. To top it all off, like the criteria to approve a lease does not fully protect or cover fishermen, lobstermen, clammers, of any sort. So there's been a lot of instances up and down the coast where they've been kind of disenfranchised from their living. And that's actually how I got involved, because in Brunswick, you know, we're seeing a huge increase in oyster leases and a huge decrease in clams, which is many reasons, but yeah, all in all, it's just we're trying to give towns an opportunity to come up with their own ordinance that regulates, you know, what they want for agriculture, and kind of supersedes what the state says. So, and we do have a draft ordinance that we wrote up for the smaller towns that don't have the resources to come up with their ordinance, but we really encourage any town to come up with their own ordinance, and they can start with ours, you know, and take things from it if they like. So, and Bailey here also has firsthand experience. So, if you want to kind of talk about what you were talking about earlier.
Sure, Camden covered things pretty well. I'm just coming from a small town, 1,000 people in town. One small river that runs through town. We had an aquaculture lease that an application that did get approved with a few conditions, but nobody was happy the way the state, the DMR, looked at the criteria for the lease. So if you look at the criteria and if you followed it very stringently, you'd say, okay, that's not too bad, we can live with that. But one of the examples I gave earlier was, you're not supposed to interfere with navigation. And this lease at low tide was 6 feet from an island, and the water is only 6 inches deep between the edge of the lease and the island. So how can you get a lobster boat through there that draws 3 feet of water? They have to go all the way around the lease, which could be problematic, depending on weather. People that want to sail, So DMR is really pushing aquaculture.
Hmm.
And they're not acting with an abundance of caution when they say these things. So I'm just looking at it from our tenant's point of view, where we decided we needed to protect ourselves and have a voice in the siting process, just like you would on land. With where you're gonna put Walmart when it shows up, or the big housing development, or whatever
Right.
the development. And as Camden said, this is really aimed at industrial scale. But it's up to individual towns to decide what industrial scale means. So Waldeboro said 0 acres is industrial scale, and they went with a full ban on all aquaculture in Waldeboro's waters. In Penobscot, we said half an acre was good, that was mom and pop, do their thing, get a little income, that you're not. Taking up the entire ocean, and you can get more than one lease. We just would like you to do it half an acre at a time. And see how things go and let it progress, not come in and say, oh, 50 acres right now. Nobody knows who you are, or what you're gonna do. One town did 5 acres. So that's, anything over that needs extra scrutiny. The under that 5 acre limit. Or when you decide it's not scrutinized as much. So there's, 2 levels, industrial scale and mom and pop scale way of looking at things, which I think is fair. It allows people to have small businesses, which is what we want based on the owner operator model, like the lobster industry. Not these big mega corporations coming in and owning everything. So that's kind of the angle that I came from.
So John, we were, they have been talking to the Shellfish Committee and, or at least to Lincoln, who's chair of the committee. They haven't been able to attend a meeting to maybe have a conversation, but with your role as a planning board, do you see any connections there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't speak for Warren tonight or anyone else, but personally, we're enthusiastic about what we've got a really talented population of fishermen who live on and but who make their livelihood on everything. Never would. So yeah, please, we meet this coming Wednesday, lunch in the back, it's the same room. I can put you on the agenda. Next meeting, probably November 6th. First one picking up with. Yeah, we had an experience last year writing ordinances, and that's good.
Yeah, it's fun. Camden came last year, and we told them that we did not want to talk about ordinances for a while, and we sort of had it up to here. And that it was something we couldn't tackle.
But I'm
until
glad you
after
came back.
June.
I
Yeah,
am, because it's been on my mind and, yeah.
yeah.
So we are ordinance leaders. Ordinances this year. But anyway, yes, please come here from the after I'll be there.
Okay, any questions or anything for these guys, or April, you captured all that?
Yep.
All right,
And just in closing too, so basically the process is moratorium into ordinance. Some towns just write up their ordinance without adopting a moratorium and just get the ordinance done or whatever without wasting time. But yeah, that's basically the option. So if you guys do want to vote on a moratorium, which says, let's stop any sort of future leases, anything that exists right now is good. You can't touch that. You guys do have the option to do that, and that's what a lot of towns, choose to do. So.
yeah, as we mentioned earlier, I don't think it's an issue yet, so probably we don't need to worry about the moratorium.
Yeah, no.
But, but if we could make sure we get something in place, if that's what the town chooses, before it does become an issue.
Yeah, I think the ordinance is.
It's kind of a solidarity thing too.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily gonna affect us, but it is in a bigger picture. If you can get more towns kind of going that way,
Yeah,
It's-
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, I wish we could just do it like the Sheepskin River.
So
My God.
from shore, can we control with an ordinance?
It's defined as, all the way up to state waters, I'm pretty sure.
Where's state waters?
No, I agree.
Yeah, 30 miles.
3 miles, okay.
So, I didn't look at the map, I probably should have. Usually, in some of it's a municipal boundary map that shows, you know, there must be a line usually in the middle of the river.
Right, exactly, yeah, yeah.
I just don't know how far offshore it would go
Mhm.
in this instance. It's usually not to the 3 mile line. It's out there a ways.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 Right, so we could potentially protect our side of the Sheepscot and Edgecombe, if they don't do anything, could become victim to just what we're trying to prevent.
Yeah, and I mean, then if they do something, I was negative offense, like we're also gonna feel it too, and that's why it's like. Kind of have to get everyone working together.
Together, so. I know we don't have any hot potato issues right now, but. I'm gonna suggest that maybe we should get educated after your meeting with John Group. Maybe we should get together and consider a moratorium. Because we might think, oh, we're safe, nobody's doing anything, and. We put together a nice ordinance, but we can't put it in place until June. If it gets voted.
Yeah.
That's-
It's exactly right, you know, I recommend for moratorium in towns. Is because I've personally seen it, especially in like the smaller towns where like they're not even considering it. And next thing you know, like they've never had an application for a lease and they have 11 applications like all of a sudden.
Right, and there could be people targeting exactly what we have to offer, we just haven't heard from them yet.
Yep, yeah.
Especially if other towns are starting to do
Right,
ordinances.
as soon as you start talking about.
That's
Start looking someplace else, exactly.
You're like, oh.
Let's go.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how it works.
Yeah,
All right, so you're gonna, I don't know if both of you can make it, but I know it's a long haul for you. It's not very long for you. That if at least one of you could make it Wednesday and at least start that conversation and I know you play some role on the shellfish and
Yeah.
Camden was saying that, you know, he had talked to Lincoln, but he didn't know when the next meeting was. Do you have any clue? Okay.
oh, really?
Good.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, he just emailed me about reserving the room, I think, for this Wednesday.
Oh, no, when are you? He's the Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday,
Me Wednesday or 23rd.
oh, the 23rd.
Oh,
Yeah, okay, so a couple Wednesdays out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll see what happens with those two meetings, because both of them are for places where they do work on ordinances, and then you know, we'll support whatever's going on here, whatever they come up with, and
Awesome. Yeah,
great, great.
He's the reason not to. Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope you got to see a little bit of Westport.
I did, I said I wanted to call her and then.
It's pretty cool, you know, the old mill site.
Yeah,
Really nice.
yeah, yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful island.
Look at Love Line, we're down there, we have, look at one, soft.
Mhm.
Good old, it's hardwood trees down here, pretty cool.
Yeah, unfortunately, they keep landing on the ground, everything that was across the road and, yeah, but great to report.
When they're up here,
Yeah,
three,
yeah, yeah.
I will say, to reinforce what these guys are saying, Waldeboro was well known as a clam. Medomics of this, and they have a lot of full-time clammers over there, hence the.
Zero.
Yeah.
Coit Bay in Brunswick was well known as a clam capital of migrants. And from what I hear, it's not much for clamming over there anymore because of the aquacultures.
That's that's how I got started, yeah.
You know, that's why, you know, we used to get bushels of clams off guys that dug down here years ago. I ain't seen nobody digging because. You know, I know they're reseeding and
Mhm.
things are getting better down here.
Yeah.
All it would take is one lease
Yep,
to destroy all the work that the shelter committee has done
Right,
and put people out of work.
right.
yep.
Yeah, and it definitely does depend on like what kind of lease as well, so like if. I know that some shellfish committees, like seeding in is technically aquaculture, so like. I mean, I consider that positive,
Positive,
obviously,
right.
but It's one thing, like you said, if you had a lease up on the outside of that plan flat.
It's the
taking up
commercial
resources.
big
Yep,
enterprises.
So on the-
that avoid.
On the big leases, what are you seeing for time?
Time, like from start to finish, where they put in their lease.
Yeah, so are they giving them 99-year leases or 15-year
20,
leases?
so you can get up to 20 years
Yeah,
of lease, yeah, so.
so that's a.
And they
significant-
do that, not even knowing what the,
That's the
That
biggest
is
problem.
gonna be.
There's
Yeah.
no research arm in the agriculture division at all. They have
but let's
nothing.
give them 20 years and let them do it for 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, in this, you know,
There's-
it's ramping up
Yeah.
right now, where it started, aquaculture, I mean, started, I don't know exactly when, but probably in the 90s when it was first getting started. Now it's like really, really popular. And so my idea is that if it's not handled, we're gonna start to see the negative effects like we already have in some places, like almost everywhere.
Exactly.
And then they're gonna say, oh, maybe let's step back a little bit.
Exactly.
and it's too late.
Too little, too late. Yeah,
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 before year lease.
yeah.
It's a little too late, and after year two, you find out this ain't working.
Right.
Right, but they got the lease for 20 years. Yeah, 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 so,
Harp on the subject, but they just granted a lease in Deer Isle, which is a big clam digging town down there as well. And they're gonna put an aquaculture lease in one of their best coves for digging clams. And the Shellfish Committee wanted intervenor status, and the state was like, no, we don't think so. And they're like, this is our living, and they're like, well, you're not a municipality, you're just a Shellfish Committee. You're not allowed your status. So that was the first cut to those guys. And then when they were trying to explain, look, these are the pounds of clams that were taken out of this cove, and we don't want that oyster farm to mess up what we've got going. You don't have any scientific evidence that proves that oyster lease gonna interfere with the shellfish harvesting.
And neither do you either.
Right, so their question goes, well, can you prove it doesn't?
Right.
And you don't have to do that. It's up to you
Yeah,
to prove to the state that this is gonna be an influence and like it's not good.
yeah,
This is why I'm saying DMR doesn't care about what towns want and individual people. We
Yeah.
really protect ourselves.
Yes. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
doing that.
yeah.
Bringing.
So I'm sure we'll hear from you guys again, and if not directly, we'll hear from either,
Have a safe
Don
trip home.
or, yes.
Watch the deer.
Yes, go.
I noticed under your select board business, you got third place, the other part cover
Yes.
from Maine Municipal.
Would you like to see a copy of the, oh, it's right, for you? Absolutely.
Now that we're doing this all over the state, we're getting some things like this.
It's such.
Yeah, see what other towns are doing,
Yeah.
how meetings work, it's a kind of an eye opener. But I was just at the Maine Municipal Convention last week, so you know, it's a pretty big deal on 448 pounds in
Wow.
Maine. It's cool. Yeah, that's a picture.
I will stress that again, it does come up later, but since Charlotte is, our newspaper reporter, I just want to make sure, Charlotte, did you know that, Westport did receive third place recognition for the 2024 town report cover? And that was given by the Maine Municipal Association.
Oh,
A big, shout out to April for design. So, but yeah, I did have it on the list. So thank you guys very much.
thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, please do. Yeah. So if I'm not gonna talk about that until the person comes. John, did you, while we're on citizens issues, did you have any citizens issue? Or just here to, because you'd like to come and visit?
I can go. Also grateful that too.
Oh, no, go ahead and do that. You're already out of.
Yeah, we're reading, things here before us. We anticipate presenting an application to replace an old cottage that's otherwise non-conforming. At Heritage Point, so, that's pending and, we'll be acting on that, here next, as I mentioned earlier. Doing water study, sharing recommendation of the town regarding all the water bring. She's interested in getting together with folks to talk about next steps. I suggest is that, we get together, select board, planning board, and the conservation committee. And have that conversation with her. I did ask her what the status was of the board we were waiting for, and, my impression was it's in process. But she doesn't want to write that report until she meets with us.
Okay,
That was news to me.
yeah,
I suspect it was news to everybody else involved. I had to talk to Dennis or Dick about the conversation. She said she was going to initiate that process of getting everybody together with an email. I thought today, but I haven't seen anything. And she said she's gonna copy me. So there's some activity. It sounded like it was been prompted by the fact that the timing on the grant or the financial reporting may have a date coming out soon. I don't know what that is.
We do have quarterly reports that are due, I know. Yeah.
That's probably no fun. So anyway, so that was good news. We're, I say we're anxious to do that now, and talk about what's next, what's next steps. I think, well, I don't speak to her all here. Don't what she needs. But anyway, other than that, the planning board is all quiet. The Friends, is of the history committee is obviously, very engaged in what's going on. Renovations with repairs, like landing house. Jack, I hope it has been in touch with you all that slot, coordinating
Does he?
those activities. And then we're also.
Yeah, and we want Jim there because he proposed a different place, and since you probably be the one putting it in there. We need to just take a look. Because what was important from the postmisters is that it not be in a place where they can't deliver, so we knew it couldn't be near the house, for sure. But I think wherever might be easier to get the posts in for Jim is what I would suggest.
The one attractive thing I got noticed that Jen. That's one is that it's at the kind of the what called my geography, right? The northeastern end of the lot. So just as you come in, the truck even make that sweep before going any further toward the water. Above, that is between where the basketball court is and so the thought was they could make that drop off that coming deeper into the.
They always go around
Yeah.
the loop. Yep. That's normal for them. I've been down there many times working and so.
Well, we're talking about. There's the going east where that's the origin state. Well, looks like a pump of water.
Yeah, an old pump. Do you know where that old pump is?
Yeah, still, it's the trick wells up there. So, where the two roads come back together right there on the right.
Yeah.
The spigot.
This major, well, I'm talking about to the east. With
The old spigot.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's some major water issues there, as you can tell by all the gravel out on the driveway, I was very skeptical to put it there.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a lot of runoff
Because
there.
that road obviously needs to be ditched, there's water isn't getting off the road correctly. So you have the well there, you have. Not right next to the road, but handy. And now, and all that runoff, when that gets ditched,
Even more runoff.
well, I'd be skeptical of putting a mailbox there because you also have snow plowing to think of, and that's why it shouldn't go on the lawn side where the house is anywhere. Cause it used to be there and I plowed that and.
That's painful.
Okay. But we should all go up there and take a look on site. And come up, cause maybe it can go there. I just know I got an issue there that I gotta solve with the water coming down the hill.
Yeah, I forgot about that, but when I took my boat out and I walk home, that right side when you're walking up the hill it's all running off right now.
Okay.
So,
From a snow plowing standpoint, the ideal spot is when we talk breaking the guardrails.
right, yeah.
From a post office standpoint, they'd be on level ground, they wouldn't be on that hill trying to. In the winter time, trying to unload them out. But I'm open, I don't want. This is where it's gonna go, so I said, so I'm gonna make that guy. And I want to be in agreement of where it goes.
No, and when John had suggested a different location, I told him that we should go.
And we
And,
should go right up there and take. a look.
yep,
Yeah, let's say, we don't have any strong feelings about it, you were trying to get as far away. From the boat ramp as possible.
Right.
And, thought was, well, that area that was all talked about was closer if we could get it further west. We were trying to work under those parameters.
Mhm.
And if there are other reasons, that's not a good idea. No, it's wrong for saying, go protect the governor.
yeah, and it is running off right now. Yeah, there is some serious runoff on that side.
Something, so what's yeah. That's five, and so we.
Yeah, we have the mailboxes, so we're ready.
So I look, there's people, wow.
Yes, we need to do that before winter. Yeah.
Sorting with the postmasters.
No, I have had a conversation with her and I asked her what we could and couldn't do and I'm looking into another situation as well. So I've been in contact with her and she just asked that I let her know when we make our decision, but she was the one, she seems to know the area very well. And she was the one that said, don't put it at the house. That was the one place to definitely not put it because, if the mailman wants to come around and drop mail off and there's somebody there with a boat and a trailer, then they can't do their job. So, she had suggested as you're coming down around, before you go around the corner there, but between the two guardrails, somewhere there, is what we had proposed, but,
Church do, right? Our major concern. Anything else, just a smooth transition,
yep,
because we've got a membership right on.
Yep.
Make sure we've got the mail on, right spot at times.
Mhm.
That's all, so.
yep. Well, so, I'll talk to you and get Jack involved or whatever, and then I can let Jim know and find out when he's available. Maybe we could do it one afternoon.
Or they call them return. I can be there outside. That's the way.
Yeah, we have a meeting from 4 to 6. We could do it maybe either right before or the, or, yeah.
I think I'm 12 by 6 and
I know.
You wanna just meet up there at 4, start our meeting there?
Okay. That's a good idea.
Go there first.
Yeah, if Jack is available.
I see me, I'm sorry. I'll copy you on.
Okay, there's a friends meeting, we can have it for.
No, this is our regular board. That we have every Tuesday. Yeah, so we'll just,
Sure.
yeah,
There's a
we
meeting
start
there.
there and then come up. Yeah,
Sense, yeah. That makes sense.
If I have a window of time, I'll go. Start on that one. I don't know when I'm gonna have that window of time.
Yeah,
I had proposed, the place to put it, and then John had suggested another place, and again, it doesn't matter at all to me. It's just, yeah,
I just wanted the location where it won't affect the ditching down the road.
yep,
I know when you come around. Robert's Roll, and you're looking at the house, that's where the snow goes,
mhm.
and it should be there.
So if you do it as you're going down, this snow, the plowman is going this way, and the,
Right. No problem.
Right.
Protect, so, like, guardrail.
Yep.
It shouldn't affect boats or anything.
right,
It is a little bit of a hike in the house, but it really ain't that bad.
not as bad as coming here. exactly, exactly.
It's closer than my mailbox is to my house.
Oh, and mine too. Yeah, and actually, is they're going down to the house, they could actually stop in the mailbox before they get there. Yeah.
What do you mean, low runoff and stuff? Yeah. I know, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I want to go
People
back
like stuff
to,
going on.
to something that you said earlier. You were talking about at Harriman's Point, and we were talking, last week or so about, overboard discharges. And it seems like there are a lot of cottages there that all have overboard discharges. And instead of trying to fix a cottage and make it more now usable when it hasn't been, if it has an overboard discharge, is there any thought about not fixing it and getting rid of one of the overboard discharges? I don't know who owns it. I don't know what it's like those houses, those cabins there, it's like on quarter acres or whatever. And, it seems like, if a cabin sort of gets deteriorated and no longer used, it's like, is there a way that you could then use that land and maybe put in some kind of septic system? The state is paying like 95% of the cost to put in special septic systems, and we're trying to get rid of overboard discharges. And we discovered last week, I think there were more than I thought there were. But they're yeah, almost 10.
Yeah.
And I suspect that would be a location. So I just, when you said that, it made me think about, instead of trying to repair something,
Will be interesting to
make it
see if
livable.
that comes
yeah, and it may be something that,
up on Wednesday night.
yeah, something that somebody hasn't thought about, that,
This afternoon, and it's fairly broad, yeah. The scope of protections that are targeted because it's in the shoreline zone.
Mhm.
So, I'll look at it closely, but it could very well be that we would have the ability to require that kind of improvement. That's going to be structural.
yeah, if it's been unlivable,
Right.
and if you're gonna make it livable, then make it right.
Right.
Yes.
Property change hands, Joe. Has the property changed hands?
I don't know that yet.
If changed hands, they're supposed to get rid of the old
Come
discharge,
up the code.
provided they have no other alternative.
Yeah, and nowadays they have such,
Yeah.
there's so many different ways to
Yeah.
do things so that you don't have the overboard discharge that.
Those lots, if they're strictly on the east side of Harriman Point Road, the one from past the end of the town road, you might be hard pressed because you can't. And the other thing is, you're gonna be 100 feet from the river to put in a leach field.
Right, but if there's a dilapidated camp, rather than fixing it, it's like, is there any consideration to make it livable? But then if it's now gonna be livable, then now you're gonna have another overboard discharge. Is just a wondering that I have.
Yeah, we'll definitely put that on the stone. Doing a lot of research on it, yeah, my preference, if there's an opportunity to, correct, a non-conforming use, we should take that opportunity to do it. And, just, about research here, my common sense tells me that, that's the kind of thing that, is not protected in any kind of grandfather scheme. That's a pretty offensive.
Yeah, I don't think it is.
Sure, so I don't think you have to grandfather it.
It causes most of our shellfish harvesting areas to be closed down. You can't harvest shellfish in most of the West Carolina shoreline because of these remaining was it 9?
Right.
Yeah.
40 days.
So if there,
So
I
it's
mean,
pretty significant impact.
I'll research, but I lose my common sense tells me. You know, the law was not designed to protect, pollution. And so, you know, fall.
Yeah, and I just wanted you to put it on your radar when you all meet, just. Because I know that's an issue down there, and as I said, it recently came up at one of our meetings about the idea that we still had so many overboard discharges here on the island, and I understand when you have just a small quarter acre, it's really hard, but if you have something that isn't used anymore,
They won't get a permit to do another or discharge that, I do know.
right,
And one has to remember, this is what the state of Maine told people they had to put in, they had to put these in. Now,
Right.
years later, they say, you gotta get rid of this.
Yeah.
Well, they're the ones that said, cause there was a lot of these put in on this island, that there was other choices at the time.
Mm.
But the state said, you have to put this in. And that's how there was so many, I'm surprised there's only 10 left, because
yeah, when I came, when I first started talking to Jerry, I think there were at least 20.
yeah.
So we're making progress, but it seems like we're not making any progress. In fact, when we looked at the data, I think the last time anything was done was 2016 or something.
We get information about the application for the renewal and all that kind of stuff, but it completely, bypasses us. It is, it's done,
Nobody
it's done,
thinks
yeah,
Chlorine towns, they're supposed to put in,
right,
so that most of those people don't even know where the chlorinated box is.
right, exactly.
So, John, two of the tools that I've seen used in this situation is one, holding tank. And the second is a limitation on the number of days that the facility can be used. So those are just tools in the toolbox of how to manage this kind of a situation, because I understand that people have a house on a piece of property and they want to fix it up. They're probably not gonna keep it small and rustic.
No question in my mind, there's lots on the island, there's no other alternative, you can sell that real estate.
Right, right. Yeah, and I,
Then make a holding tank, which. You know, they're pumping it. When they need to, so that's a whole nother can. of
Right.
worms.
mhm,
Yeah, well, part of the, the water study is, not only monitoring, potentially monitoring. The water quality and quantity, but also, there was a lot of conversation about, monitoring and. Reviewing sanitation systems, so
mhm,
that's, that's the other side of the point, right? So I think that's something the planning board is going to be looking at. And, if nothing else, like, some of the ordinances we, put on the table last year, who raised the issue. We need to have an island conversation about this and see what people want.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go back to our earlier item, which is open bids, and we didn't get any bids for town hall repairs or the town hall ramp.
No, we did not. It's too bad. I sent it to a lot of people. Everybody I know of on Island who's a contractor, plus probably at least 20 contractors just in like a 20-30 mile radius. I just looked as many of them up as I could and sent it over. So there's not a lot of interest in this work, or they must be very busy.
Mhm.
Yeah, everybody. So I'm not sure what next steps are to try to move forward, but yeah, maybe take a couple of weeks, beat the bushes a little bit more, see.
And then, and maybe with fall coming
Mhm,
or winter coming, that things will slow down a bit.
mhm.
Job for anybody to give. Price on it, I feel.
Yeah, because they don't really know.
You look at it and say, well, this, but if I open this can of worms up, how big of a thing is it gonna be?
Mhm. Yeah, and there is something in the RFP about that, like then you would issue yet another. Whatever bill, I don't know the exact wording, but the idea is. If you said, oh, you can do this for 15,000 and then you get in there and it's like, uh-oh, there's 40,000 worth of work. The contractor isn't gonna be held to that original bid.
I think you'd almost be better off, you could find somebody with an estimate. And do by the hour on materials. It might be the only way you're gonna get that project done, because it's not. Building this chair, it's kind of dry.
Yeah, it's another quantity. Yep, yep.
Yeah, so back.
Well, we'll revisit that and see what to do, but you do have a salt.
Yes, yeah, and we also didn't get any bids on the ramp either, which is
Right.
cut and dry.
That's right, April, right.
Yeah, so I just think I'm not sure what we do here, but
So, but we have a salt bid?
we have two salt bins, or not salt,
Sand.
winter sand. We have salt and we're getting sand.
All right, and we will open those two bids today and then discuss them at our workshop. So the first bid looks like it's from Hager Enterprises. And this is a bid for $24 per yard delivered and stacked.
Stacked.
What's the sand? They're gonna stack it.
I'm gonna be talking so much.
I'm reading what's here.
But they take the little grains of sand and they stack one of them together really neatly and they make a really neat slide.
I want to see that.
Well, this is. There'll be an explanation afterwards because. It's pretty simple, that's right.
All right, the next one is Country Fair Incorporated. And their bid is $22. I miss, what is this?
Price per yard delivered.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, because they, yep, for this $22.
What is,
They don't stack it.
what does stacked mean?
Well, you gotta mix the salt with it, you gotta pile it up.
Oh, interesting.
What happened
Yeah, you were saying,
And they don't,
last year?
right,
this doesn't,
you don't
take-
want to do it again.
oh, it is still,
Well, I wanna be fair to everybody involved, so I didn't request this year in the bid. The big pilot. Because Country Fair was supposed to mix it and pile it last year for $18.95 a yard. They talked to Dale. Dale said he would mix it and stack it, and they would pay him. They paid him $750.
Oh.
And I wasn't gonna allow him to get the short end of the stick. The second year in a row, so I
Gotcha.
said, deliver it, and we'll pay Dale by the hour with the price per hour for voters in the plowman. So I factored, would pay him out of the sand and salt account. If Hagar is willing to do it for 24. And mix it and pile it. That seems like a pretty good.
Yeah.
so we need to talk about this further. Yep, so I'm gonna give these back to April, who will scan them and get them to us to look at. So we can look at those tomorrow and have a further conversation about those. All right, and we'll also talk about what we need to do about the other RFPs. All right, let's jump to roads. Let's jump down to roads, yeah.
The limb on Willis Point Road has been identified, but it has not been dealt with yet. And I'm hoping I lost some flowers with the tree down there that. Looks like that can get on the side, I'm on doing it. That didn't necessarily, but it was all right up. The road improvement project moves ahead. It's progressing.
I see that you've been down there 2 weeks in a row. When I try to get down there, I was stopped,
Yeah. The,
which is great. You making
well, the
progress.
holdups have been very minimal.
Mhm.
Somebody said you were held up for 10 minutes, not so, it was 5 minutes. So we could get the culvert you stopped doing that. So traffic's been pretty good, a few people are a little impatient. Probably the same ones that complain about this. Things are progressing. And it's really, we're gonna pave in the culverts here as soon as we get some cooperative weather. Just so it's paved in for the winter. Cold patches up here, I've talked to Randy. That's on Randy's schedule. And some trimming, we gotta get some trimming done for winter. Other than that, it's pretty quiet. Other than lots of turkeys, lots of deer, when you're driving down now in the evening,
Oh, yeah,
discussion.
yeah, almost every time I'm heading home. All right. Committee reports, we already heard from some over there, but Kim, do you want to give us an update on the property management committee?
There's a chair.
The only thing I
Yeah,
can say,
sure.
you gotta have a meeting of the members of this committee, so we can hold it on, it's starting process.
Sounds like what Dick said too.
Well, it's
That's,
time we met, we were talking about the trees and whether we do the roof or, not do the roof and do the trees.
the trees have been marked, a call has been made to Gary Richardson,
Okay,
he has to go up and look at them.
right,
He was saying we might have to do the grid
Mhm.
thing, which I know nothing about.
It's 40 feet, something, you have to have
So many.
so much,
That much.
yeah,
There's some safe, some of them trees undeniably a safety hazards.
Yeah.
Don't can be cut. But I need him to identify. Those.
Yeah. How many of those can be cut? Or, yeah, and maybe which ones? I think the one in the front yard there for sure.
The one, last one in that row is.
Yeah.
I think we probably still need to get some other bids on that though, no? For
If
the
we
trees,
could, if we could get anybody to give us any bids, that would be great, but nobody's interested.
did you put Bart Flanagan?
They got no answer and no return.
It's just so classic, I know. I'm fine.
Pretty busy right now. Yeah. Well, the first thing we need to find out is which one we can cut. And that would be at least a start.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nine, 205, 13, 14 of them.
Yeah.
You know, the health trees a lot better than I do.
Yep.
So I, it's the big things, and then there's always a chance of, once you cut some trees out, you've now exposed the other ones to wind and whatnot.
Exactly. When does it stop? Yeah.
Right, so. All I'm doing is trying to facilitate, I'm not saying that tree should go, the only one I will say that tree should go is the last one up front now.
Yeah. Yeah, very close to the house.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So you'll consider setting up a time to meet.
We need to meet, so we need now to get organized and get. People in positions of. Where they need to be.
Yeah, in fact, I had a conversation with Judy Hagan the other day, and she asked how much money we had reserved for the town hall for looking at things like acoustics and whatnot. And I told her 0. But I told her that if she would do the research on that, because she's always been very, very interested in how can we use that town hall more often. And even when we have our town meetings, it's like you can't hear anything. And you have a band in there, any kind of music, you can't talk to each other. So really, there's some acoustic issues that, and there are ways to address that without doing anything, you can have temporary some kind of acoustical tiles or whatever for the walls or for the ceiling. So I asked her, she has 2 or 3 people that are actually interested in working with her. So I asked her to do the research and to come back to us with a proposal, with some ideas, and to bring it to the town, because she can start with the board, but ultimately, it has to be a town decision. But I did ask for her to do that because she's been very interested in that, and I think most people would agree that you really can't hear anything. So in fact, we were talking with the WCA committee about we want to do something for Halloween, and we said one of the things we aren't going to do is have a DJ who does lots of music, because everybody's going to leave the building because you can only take it for so long. So the activities we are going to do activities, but they're going to not involve music, at least not for the most part, because it's too loud. So I know Judy is working on that piece of, it's still part of the property management committee.
Right, that's the big thing is I wanna see who the players are,
right,
where their interests are,
yep,
and maybe form some subcommittees, the town hall.
exactly, yep,
Committee, one landing committee, the town office committee. And see, and try and put the people with the interest in
mhm,
right places,
yep,
and,
You might also have, subcommittees by, you could have subcommittees by properties, and I know some people are really interested in the town hall, because it's historic, really interested in Wright House, because maybe they live near there. But also by, skills,
Mhm.
like the horticulture
Absolutely.
committee, or like the, building. committee.
well, right now.
Right.
They would. You know, I know they like going up the fairway, there's nice gardens up there, but there's flowers up here too, need attention.
Yeah,
Are they willing to
right.
take care of flowers? And what?
they had been, they were corralled and, they actually,
Wonderful job,
yeah, they actually have some bulbs now that,
beautiful.
the committee's gonna plant in a couple weeks,
Initially, one of the thoughts about disbanding sectors was that there's properties that were being ignored because everybody wanted to be more involved in more popular property, but we still have all these other things that need to get done, so that's was kind of the thinking was like, let's get the people together and the people that are good at constructing or contracting, let's spread the wealth with those people, and the people that are great with the horticulture stuff, let's spread it so that everything gets taken care of instead of
Right, I
one place.
looking at some committees for each property, but I'm also looking at, like you said, I guess you call them topics, construction, painting, flowers, general, upkeep. A lot of people don't have any interest in this building because it's not exciting.
boy,
He's amazing.
But I mean, it's
Yeah, it really does. It looks sad.
It does.
Yeah.
You know, I know you've been working on the flowers out here. But that's part of it, you know, I need people that, you know, yes, you're on the town hall committee, but. You like to paint, you want to come up here and help us paint the town.
mhm, yeah, just knowing all the players.
Right.
And knowing their capabilities, interest.
You know, some of these people I don't know,
Mhm,
and finding out where their interests are, because if they're interested. They're more apt to participate on a regular basis.
And the key is having a chair. Which is Jim right now, who has the list of properties, so none of them are gonna fall through the cracks, because before we just had. X committee for this property, X committee for that property, and nobody in charge of properties. In
That's why the flagpole sign is overgrown.
Yeah, that place is
There's
free,
no, you know,
right,
nobody really gives that a thought.
right,
right, no one is in charge.
Then,
right.
you
I
know,
can tell you the horticulture hasn't thought about it.
well, they will.
It's some landscaping.
Yep, yep,
You know,
and a way to access it without breaking a leg.
Right. Prime opportunity for all sorts of fancy planting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think there's an abundance of plantings at the fairy garden that we could probably take from.
Sorts of bulbs in particular. You know,
By the way, I do want to mention while we're talking, I'll come with you, just, you were talking about bulbs. WCA, it was in the minutes, but I don't know if it's ever been mentioned publicly, but, one of the ideas was to buy 1,000 bulbs and just go down the main road, planting them. And so we've asked people to call in or, let us know. If you're interested in having bulbs planted on your property, and we'll give you the bulbs, tell you how to plant them. If you can't plant them or how or whatever, the WCA will help with that, but that's gonna be happening. I think the bulbs have already been bought. There are 1,000 of them. King Alfred, which is a big yellow trumpet. It's the one that has the great big trumpet, which is the part that sticks out. Yeah, it's a really bold thing. Those should be coming in and we'll be putting that together soon. So,
use caution working near the main road, be aware of traffic, that's highly recommended.
might slow everybody down because they want to look at the flowers. Done.
You know, there might be some truth to that.
Yep. Yep,
They out that's being charged, you know.
yeah. John?
No, that sounds great. I was just gonna ask if we could put, Jack Swan on the committee. And he'll definitely be our person.
Amazing, that's great, yeah.
So,
Have you shared his email with us, or can you contact him and ask him to contact us?
yeah, let me send his email to you.
Okay,
So that
good.
Just before we leave this subject, did you see the email from Gay this morning?
About the.
Yeah, I think he's speaking of the town hall. She was at the Maine Museums
Oh,
and
yes.
Archives
Yeah.
Conference.
Yes,
And she went to a session on competitively pursuing capital grants. And she goes into this whole thing, and it's all about a building condition assessment. It says they advised that presenters advised that to obtain any significant or federal grant funding for historic buildings, a building condition assessment is required. So this is if you're looking for grants for the building. But I thought it was interesting, and she seemed to think this gentleman, what's his name? Brad Miller, from Director of Programs and Services, Maine Preservation. He might be willing to just kind of give you some no-cost site visits. To discuss potential resources that might be available to further the goal of historic preservation. So I thought it was just another way of
I could probably pay Chris to do that.
I think he's kind of already done it. We just put it together.
He hasn't.
Which all whatever they say they want.
I know, yeah.
yeah,
Because
because-
that was his, he
Yep.
evaluated historic buildings.
Yeah, Wentworth, yeah.
So he
if
might-
this would count as something. It was worth asking this guy. Yeah.
Yep, yep. And
Anyway.
maybe talking to Chris to find out whether he has any certifications.
Yeah,
I know he did, would
Right,
at
right,
one point in
right.
time, but,
Mhm. If he knows about that,
Yeah.
yeah, program, right?
so April will put you in charge of that?
yeah, I will get
Okay,
paid.
perfect. All right, let's move on to, select board business, and, we've already mentioned the recognition for the town report.
So here's the cover though, because I don't want, take all the credit. It is. The email they sent was really nice and they went into all the various things, but it was also the way the financials were presented. It was
Oh, okay.
Ashley, all the explanations, which is, Dee Dee does a lot in her report. So it was the entire thing, not just the cover that was, they mentioned the cover design, but they also said the pictures, the graphs, the financials, everything in there. So it stood out,
Nice.
there's.
Oh, yeah, I
probably at
see it
least
now,
400
yeah.
Something
Yep,
small
Pretty
towns.
awesome.
So we were third out of all of those, so that was pretty great, and
Yes.
it
I
also,
don't know how you were running.
I didn't know anything about it till I didn't even get the email, Dee Dee forwarded it, and I was like. But a lot of our design is also based on previous design, so, Julie deserves credit, Gabe deserves credit, because they developed that, and I just took the template and have used it and run with it for the last couple of years, so.
And for $49.95, you can get a complete autograph, town report, autograph.
It's all right. I think there might be something in our ethics agreement.
All right, next on our agenda is, to appoint Susie Stedman as election clerk.
Yeah, I have several, actually 3 appointments. I
Yeah.
think I added a couple after I sent you.
Okay,
the
I
little
have
agenda.
1, 2, 3 here.
So Susie Stedman volunteered. Susan Annaly is a kind of new resident. She was a town clerk formerly. I
Yep.
can't remember which town, but
Began with a B.
small town, I think.
Yes, it was. It
Yeah.
was either Bremen or,
Right.
it was one of those down
Yeah,
there.
so she's very experienced. She's gonna help with the selection, and I just wanted to get her
Great.
appointed. And then Jean, Mock, I haven't actually met her, but I have a note that she wants to help with elections, so basically, if anybody wants to help, I will appoint them and call on them as needed, so that's just to expand my election clerk lists.
All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we accept the appointments, or we actually appoint. Susie Stedman, Susan Annaly, and Jean Mock as election clerks. From October 7th, 2024 to April 30th, 2026. The remainder of a 2-year term. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Hi, what's your names?
Yeah,
Okay.
Right down. My name. I'm not seeing the paperwork for, Joe Morris.
So it's no paperwork for Carol.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I appoint her warden, but you guys need to approve it first.
Okay,
So I'd like to use Carol Norris as my election warden. She did it last time. She did a wonderful job. And use her again if you were amenable.
so I agree. I know Carol and have ultimate respect for her, so I'd like to make a motion that we approve Carol Norris's position as election warden. All in favor? Aye. Okay. An election update?
Yep, just to mention absentee voting starts tomorrow. So that means folks can come on into the town office and vote right here. Starting tomorrow, we'll have ballots and you know, come on in.
So the ballots, do they just get locked away until election day?
They get locked away, yep. There is an early processing we do, so all the ballots that I've received up until the day before the election, I will process the day before, which means me and Carol, essentially Carol will open them, inspect my work to make sure everything's filled out correctly, take the ballots out, and then we run them through the machine, which records it, but we don't see any numbers, we don't total any votes and figure out who voted, we just see how many ballots went through. And then that memory stick is added to the ballots the next day. So that saves us hours of time, election day, because that processing of absentee ballots is a long process, so
Sure.
after early processing, we might receive a handful of ballots that we'll have to do on election night, but not so many, so it really helps us. Yeah. And folks can also request a ballot by filling out an application if they would rather have it sent to them, or if they want to come and take it with them out of the office, you just fill out an application to do that.
Okay, great. I see we have a certification of compliance with subdivision and shoreline zoning requirements. This is something we have to fill out
Yeah,
yearly.
it's on there, no, this is for the sign, actually.
Oh, okay.
So anytime CMP does anything on any property,
Mhm.
a town official has to fill that out. And I've been a little confused if that goes to Gary or to you guys. I think the last thing I heard was it goes to you.
I remember
However,
signing this before.
yeah, Jim suggested, I think he's right, we should touch base with Gary first,
Mhm.
just to make sure we don't need any permits for that. I couldn't find anything in the building code, but it wouldn't hurt to run it by Gary first before we go signing that,
Okay,
so.
so we'll just put it back on here and not do anything with it.
That's standard CMP stuff that the
Yep.
select board has to sign, saying that that's not in a subdivision.
Right,
Mhm.
right. I remember signing something before from CMP on this.
Simpson or anything.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll postpone doing that. Next thing on the agenda is a discussion of the new draft building permit application that we had talked about before, and you had created a new sort of a process for us. So April, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, well, let me see what I can remember. So back when we passed the amendment to the building code ordinance to have a footings inspection, I think the planning board and Lisa came back to me and said, can you amend the form to sort of accommodate that? So I did that, and while I was doing that, Ashley and I actually worked on this together. We came up with a new form that sort of tried to incorporate maybe a new process, because we both feel very out of the loop on building permits and DD two. We don't know which ones are active. We're very in the dark about what's out there. People often call us and say, hey, what's going on with my building permit? And we're like, we haven't even heard of it. So we would like for building permits to come to the office, that the originals get filed here. Actually figured out that's a state law. The originals should be in the office. Then we can scan it in. Gary can take a copy or as many copies as he needs to work with the customer, but that way we know what's out there. Ashley had an idea about including a $25 flat fee just for the application, because it's a little complex sometimes for the staff to try to figure out the fee. Someone will come in, and if they do happen to come to us instead of go straight to Gary, we're supposed to figure it out based on square footage, which is a little tricky sometimes. So it might be nice to just have a flat fee.
Just for filing,
Just for filing.
filing a permit.
Yep.
Yeah, and then maybe if it gets
And then if
rejected,
it's-
we don't charge additional, and if, I don't know, we'd have to talk to Gary and take a closer look, but.
Mhm.
Just in terms of like the staff, it is, Dee Dee's pretty comfortable with it, cause she's done it for a long time, but. Ashley and I are still kind of like, oh. Da, da, da. And then Ashley also, who's a lot more involved in this process than I am, has some trouble sometimes with the fee collection, because she doesn't know how much she's supposed to be collecting, because that's a number I think Gary comes up with at the end. Sometimes he has checks and she's not sure if they're correct, or she should deposit them, what they go with. So it's really important, especially for her as the person dealing with the money, which is ultimately, I think right now how Gary gets paid, that she has a little bit more insight into that process and what the final number is. So that's kind of what we came up with here. It's very similar to the current form, other than it says send it to the treasurer, not to the code enforcement officer. $25 application fee. And then there were some slight edits to the little like office use only section where I added a little bit about the footings in case those needed to be checked.
Right.
And just sort of the like flow of when it was received, was it referred to the CEO versus the planning board? What kind of additional documentation might be needed? The date of the action on the application. If it was a permit, you put in a number. If it was denied, you put in the reason. The signature of either the CEO or the planning board chair. And then the footings check date, if that is in fact needed, which I don't think it usually is. And the signature on that, and then the permit fee, which is where Ashley would be able to see, oh, okay, this is the final fee. And then the permit issue date. So there's also kind of a little lack of clarity between. Okay, does the permit get issued immediately? Or does the permit get issued after they pay? Probably shouldn't be issued until they pay. Who should have it in hand? Like I know Gary does the approving and issuing of it, but should he give it to Ashley so she can hold on to it till the person pays, so she collects payment before they get it? What's the flow there? And that's always been a
Sounds like
little
we need
fuzzy.
to invite Gary to a meeting to talk about this.
Yes.
Like one of our.
And I think he
work
has
sessions.
features.
He has,
And he-
yep.
Did he give you any input on it?
I don't think so. It was quite a while ago now,
Yeah, I know.
but yeah, we could use revisiting.
So do we want to postpone that again, or do we want to go and talk about approving it and moving forward with it?
I don't think we can really put this into practice until we talk to
Yeah.
Gary.
We
But
need to make sure it's gonna work with how we understand it and want it to work, and how Gary, currently has it working.
and whatever's in the ordinance.
So I think we need to sit and meet with him and explain how they'd like the process to be going forward.
The following Tuesday.
Yeah, maybe next Tuesday during our work session.
Yep.
Yep.
So in there's a plumbing fee that's different,
Yeah,
the
that,
building permit.
Yeah,
So that accounting is not included on the building permit.
the plumbing stuff is a whole.
Other mystery.
The forms, we don't have a plumbing permit form, it's all state forms, and I don't know anything about the fees. I really don't know.
But we take the money.
I believe so.
Yeah.
So we can, well, he's
not
the
sure we keep the.
licensed plumbing inspector too now, so.
No, but I think just in terms of,
Something
it would be really nice for the stuff that, the documentation that we keep in-house, that we have the little checklist. Some sort of kind of flow, like your corner,
Right,
box up there that
Like,
has
it
a
has to
flow
be some, it's just,
that says.
Yeah, I think we start with this one, get this one approved and moving forward. And then that's another whole issue because I know when Gary took over, we weren't even sure how things got paid. And I don't think that's been totally figured out.
Yes, so we should probably address it all at once. I see your point, Kim, like if we're gonna have Gary come and talk about
Right,
this.
so let's do the plumbing as well.
Plumbing
Yeah.
flow as well.
Let's incorporate it so that you get a
Yeah.
package when you come to get a building permit. Or expressing to the people that are coming in, yeah, you need to also take care of this, this and this, and.
I think you gotta build a structure with a bathroom or a kitchen. You need to have a plumbing permit before you even get a building permit.
Yeah, that's
And
a,
if you're replacing a septic tank, that's different, or replacement septic, that's
Mhm.
different.
Right.
A building without a bathroom like the garage.
Right, shed, something like that, yes,
That's just building.
that's, it's the building
But to
permit.
get a building permit for like a house, you have to have a septic point within the septic.
Before, right, that's right.
So we need to ask, Gary to come on October 15th to our meeting. April, do you want to do that, or would you like me to do that?
Why don't you guys do it? Cause you're asking him to come talk to you. I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yep.
But Ashley definitely needs to be, cause I think
Yep.
her more than me needs to.
Yeah, I will contact him and ask him. to make that.
He could bring you results and study of comparing landing on the tree.
The trees, yeah,
Yeah, and also, you could talk about the science site and make sure there's no issues there, so we can get that CFP paperwork going.
Okay.
So we have a lot to talk to Gary about.
And it'd be nice if he could do it tomorrow, but I won't ask him.
It's
Or
short.
that's too short notice. But, well, just a quickie, since you're on the planning board and there was some of the discussion that came up was about this. Do you see any issue or anything from this that,
I was just gonna ask if, somebody could just send us a copy of it. We'll take a quick look at it Wednesday. I don't wanna get into it necessarily, but there was a lot of conversation about the ADU, new ordinance
Mhm.
and how we trigger applications or how we register applications under that ordinance.
Hmm,
Building.
Yep.
Because
yeah,
we as planning board wanted to pay attention to those.
yep,
And that was one easy way to flag it, so we, we're not trying to stick our nose in where, it's not invited, but, we just wanted to take a quick look at it.
yep.
Yeah. What were the rules again on the ADU? It's like, if you, on a minimum lot size, you can build an additional dwelling unit or something. Right?
So,
I don't know.
are you asking how
Yeah,
that works?
yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of.
You can email it to me. I just wanted to see if I could easily like adjust the form. Cause there are questions like about. Square footage and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I think the idea, and I'll have to. This will prompt me to look at the statute.
Right.
Yeah, because you wanna dovetail. With your application, make sure that's registered. And we keep track of those. Because we really want them closely monitored, at least for the first year or two.
Sure.
To see how this is working.
right,
So, yeah, we can
Yeah.
help with that.
Okay.
And I'm also thinking, we need to do something now to get the flow going because I know the staff has had some issues not knowing where things are and whatnot. But I'm also thinking that depending what happens with the water study, a lot of things might change anyway.
yes, exactly.
So,
We're not
you
there yet.
might have to revisit this and say, there may be questions related to water, that
Or well.
or wells or whatever else. So, but for right now, just to make the staff,
Oh, yeah.
to help them know what's going on a little better. Just part of the design for this, and also the fact that we'd had some issues that we needed to address related to, how many times somebody comes and inspects and whatnot.
Yeah, we don't wanna hold up. Something.
Yep.
And if stuff comes up later, it's starting.
We can lose the back to work, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so, I think if there is nothing else,
One more thing,
yep, go ahead.
November meeting schedule.
Oh, yeah,
So it looks like keeping with your every other week pattern, Monday the 4th and Monday the 18th. Which don't appear to be,
Conveniently skip the Holiday Mondays.
Yeah, I know, that's
Yeah.
working really well. So, do you wanna meet on the 4th and the 18th? And keep your workshop schedule?
Okay.
And I don't know if, do you have any workshops that are bumping into Thanksgiving or anything?
No, 'cause they're always on Tuesdays.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless something happens. Somebody has to work.
When is Indigenous Peoples' Day?
I just saw that. It's,
I thought it's,
Next week.
Oh, it's in.
yeah, it's the 14th.
oh,
Oh, and I think we have that off. But we always
it's
have
a
it, on,
14.
so
That's a Monday.
it's a Monday.
Yeah, we don't have a meeting that week anyway,
Okay,
so,
well, that all worked out perfectly.
yeah. We planned specifically around that. All right, any other questions or issues or comments? I'd like to adjourn this meeting if I get approval, but then we are going to have a quick Board of Assessors meeting. So I'd like to make a motion that we adjourn for select board meeting. Yeah, do I have a second?
I did second, yeah.
All in favor?
Okay, and I'm going to.
All right, is this thing recording?